Welcome to Stress-Free Solutions with Sarah. I'm your host, Sarah Alysse, a stress management and fitness coach, advocating the world to trust their gut more often. I discuss various ways to manage stress and share personal stories of guest experts who have gone through the same stressors as all of you at home. Hey there, super moms of the universe. Let's play a game called hide and seek. No, not with your kids or that mysteriously vanishing left sock. It's time to seek out you in the everyday hide and seek of life. Introducing Mastering the Soul System, a 12-week journey to reclaim your time and energy. This course is your gateway to finding balance, energy, and joy in every aspect of your bustling life. Picture this, 12 weeks where the words mom and mayhem don't always go together. Rediscover yourself with every breath in our Soulful Mind Weeks. Sing out loud in the shower or car, off-key is absolutely fine, and dance during our Soulful Body sessions, and embrace the quiet whispers of your heart in our Soulful Spirit adventures. It's about time your spirit got a front row seat, don't you think? Join us on this journey. Embrace the harmony between being a dedicated mom and your personal aspirations. Mastering the soul system, because darling, in the noise, find your silence. And maybe, just maybe, a bit of that elusive thing called me time. You deserve to thrive, not just survive. So come on, slide into our world at www.livewellenhanceyou.com/soul system. Your journey back to you starts now.
Amy Lacey is a serial entrepreneur, best-selling author, keynote speaker, and business mentor. In 2016, she founded the award-winning Cali'flour Foods, where she introduced the first ever cauliflower pizza crust to the market. Her innovative approach to healthier, gluten-free options quickly gained traction and revolutionized the industry. In 2023, Amy launched Soursop Nutrition, a groundbreaking supplement brand focused on the powerful health benefits of the soursop fruit. The range of products is designed to help the body combat some of the world's most challenging chronic diseases. A true innovator, Amy is dedicated to serving the person she once was and continuously seeks out uncharted spaces where she can make an impact. Her unwavering determination to push boundaries and never give up has been the driving force behind her success. Amy, thank you so much for coming on Stress-Free Solutions.
Thank you. I really love this podcast, by the way.
Thank you.
love it. I was listening this morning on your, I forget what you called it, but like the September blahs,
Yes.
like taking one thing. And I'm like, wow, this is really speaking to me right now. So thank you so much. Amazing podcast. And I listen to a lot of podcasts, and this is a really good one.
I really appreciate it. I love talking about things I'm going through because as entrepreneurs, especially, it's always changing, right?
Yeah.
Every day is different and we have to navigate how we manage stress, how we use supplements. We have to figure out different ways to support us through different seasons of life.
Yeah. And I love how you talked about, and I'm not sure if it was on that particular episode or a different episode. I think it was on a different one, about just being authentic. I think about back in 2019 when I sold Cali'flour and the venture capitalist came in. I always was just honestly, God was our CEO and Google was our MBA. No joke. We figured out Cali'flour Googling everything. But I was just really transparent to my community, and I had such a loyal community. But I would get up in the morning, no makeup, no brushing hair, and just get on there and be like, okay, guys, what pizza? Are we going to make a breakfast pizza? And I can remember the capitalist just being like, okay, you need to make sure that, have hair and makeup done. Do we need to put that in your budget? You need to prep what you're going to say in advance. You need to have more articulate conversation and a specific like guidelines of what you want to say. We're gonna write some up for you to memorize. I'm like, I don't do memorization ever. Like I talk off the cuss, and no more talking about God. Like no more faith talk at all. And I was just like, this is not going to resonate with our audience. They want real. And if I'm reading, they're going to know I'm reading, and they're going to know that's not my voice. And that's exactly what happened. Like I was almost forced to be what they wanted me to be to represent my company because they pretty much owned the majority of it.
Wow.
So you have to conform to what they want. And it's interesting because I'd love to go back to how we started that company, but a full circle moment. When the venture capitalists came in and did that, they fired my team. That was like the team that built up Cali'flour. Like, I mean, I hired people with strong emotional intelligence that were like humble, hungry. And so I hired my esthetician.
Yeah.
I would lay there for like, I have Sjogren's, so I would have to get lashes on because I can't wear mascara. And I would lay there for like an hour and listen to her. And I'm like, wow, she's really smart. I need to scoop her up. And then some friends, and we all got really close. We were this big, happy family. And then they fired them and they changed the recipe and they put me on sabbatical. And when I came back, they told me all that. And I can tell you right now, just going back to your podcast, authenticity, I know it's like a big buzzword right now.
Yeah.
Back in 2019. It was the thing back then too. People just want real people.
Yeah.
Real people. And I'm like overseeing these people with their fancy cars claiming that they're 8-figure earners. And then it's like, or business coaches that have never had a business. You know what I mean? So let's just find what our specialty is. Everybody has one. And let's just really focus in on that. And then we can help people. Like you have that award behind you, which is the Hope Award. Help one person every day. I love that. I think that's a huge thing. And I don't know how you feel about this, and I'm not trying to make this a political podcast, but Charlie Kirk just was assassinated.
Yes.
And one of the things that was near and dear to my heart that I heard him say multiple times, so it must be something he said on stage a lot, was learn something new every day. I have that same thing. Like, it's not like big things, like, it's little things. Just learn something new every day. That's little. Just be something you find out of a book, or on a podcast.
Yeah. Amy, when did you say, I'm not going to work with these people anymore? There's a kind of this turn of events for you where you're like, I got to be me?
So when they put me on sabbatical, they changed all my passwords and I no longer had access to the numbers. And I'm a data girl. Like, I believe that cash is king and data is everything. Like, base your spending on your data, even personal. And I've made a lot of mistakes, so I don't claim to be some financial whiz. But when I came back and that happened, I got really angry and I got sick again. And so it was like a full circle moment. And then at that same time, the esthetician I talked about, she was my right-hand person named Jimmy, spelled like Jimi Hendrix, but a female. And she helped me build Cali'flour. She's now working for me again, building Soursop. But in between, she was diagnosed with cancer, breast cancer. And so was mom at the same time. So both of them were diagnosed with breast cancer. So I was feeling very depressed and I was on sabbatical. I didn't feel like I had a purpose. And one thing I learned in the past is if you are depressed, the best antidepressant is doing something for somebody else, right?
Yeah.
Again, help one person every day is that hope thing. But I went on a mission to help them because I'm like, okay, they have cancer. My mom was going to do traditional chemo radiation, old school, right? My mom is one of those people, baby boomers, goes to the doctor, whatever they say is gold standard.
Yeah.
And I'm married to a physician, so I can say this with authority. They don't have time to learn everything, know everything about nutrition, know everything about biohacking. They just don't. They don't learn it in school. And, Jim's been practicing for 23 years, and he told me in med school, and we were together then, he got one half day on nutrition. Now, he's not primary care, he's not internal medicine, but he's still dealing with people on a daily basis. He's ear, nose, and throat, and he's board certified in sleep. And you got to know a lot about nutrition to have good sleep.
True.
So we had a day of nutrition. So they're just not trained to, biohack or individuality. So Jimmy, I knew, was going to go that route. She doesn't get mammograms. Agree with her or not agree with her, she doesn't get mammograms. Breast cancer runs in her family. She had been under a tremendous amount of stress by the venture capitalists, tremendous. And, to go from like this great family where we had like book clubs and we went to events and I poured into my team, to these like really strict guidelines, and, everything was about the margins and the bottom line. And that's just venture capitalists in general.
Yeah.
So full circle moment, I started helping them, but behind the scenes, I was dealing with depression. And whenever I get depressed and stressed, I start getting sick again. So it was like, wow, here I am. Like, here it is 10 years later and I'm sick. And I built this company and it was like my fourth child. I'm a mom of three. I have three kids, two boys and a girl. And Cali'flour was my fourth child, and I poured everything into that in an unhealthy way, actually. But here I was, like, it was a full circle moment. My inflammation was acting up. I gained a bunch of weight. I got really depressed again. So it helped to go help them. And I discovered Soursop in the midst. I met a lady that had a daughter with cancer. She told me how, you got to get this fruit for your friend and your mom. It's amazing. It's going to help them. It may not cure them, but it's going to help them. And so I went on a mission to learn everything I could about Soursop.
Yeah.
And I ended up ordering the fruit from out of the country into the country, getting the fruit. Sometimes it was spoiled. Sometimes it was good. Then I found a middle person in Miami so it could get to me quicker. And one little piece of fruit was like $30, a little piece of fruit. And there was no guarantee, like you'd order a box of 4 or 5 of them, no guarantee that they were all going to be edible. And so it was really expensive, but I saw the benefits right away. I started getting healed, like right away. My inflammation, I almost went back on steroids and Plaquenil. Now I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been preaching how you don't need those for 10 years. And now I'm back to where I need them. What has happened to me? Full circle moment. But I saw that Soursop was really helping with my inflammation. And so I dove all into Soursop. And then I realized, okay, this is hard to get in the United States and it's really expensive. And there's certain parts of it that's very toxic. And there are things about that, about the toxicity, but you got to understand the fruit more to know. I mean, shoot, if you drink too much water, you can die. You know what I mean? So you got to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I went on for a couple of years, just worked on it with some chemists and also some doctors, and then created a formula, found a 3 different manufacturers to manufacture it. And we were the first Soursop gummy to come out. Gummies seem to be a big thing. I studied Goli like crazy, the company Goli.
Yeah.
And then we realized what it was doing. So we created shakes with other superfoods like goji berries, elderberries, echinacea, turmeric, just other milk thistle, other amazing superfoods, combine them together to make this, we call it a boost, but a lot of people call it a shake. And then the electrolytes came out and I was like, okay, I can't take a lot of these electrolytes. They have too much sodium in it. Yeah. I'm not in the gym 4 hours a day sweating like crazy. Like some of the people really do need that much sodium. And then what kind of sodium is the best? And magnesium, learning all about magnesium.
Mm-hmm.
And the key. So it was, sometimes I think, and I'm very strong faith-based in the word every day, but it wasn't always like that. I didn't grow up like that. But sometimes I think God's protection and the rejection you might feel from somebody else is God's protection and redirection. Or whatever's happening in your life. If things aren't going the way you want it to go, I believe that is just some form of protection and redirection. And so I can look back on it and say, okay, I randomly met that woman with a daughter with cancer. Randomly.
Yeah.
Both my mom and Jimmy got diagnosed within like a week of each other, both breast cancer. Crazy. And I went to every appointment with my mom. I had the time because I was on sabbatical, which at the time I was really angry about, but what a blessing that I got to do that with my mom.
Yeah.
What a And I can look back on it and I feel very blessed. And if I could, I would thank the venture capitalists now.
Mhm.
I do talk a lot. I was on stage at Chris and Jen's. I don't know if you were at that event, but I talked about forgiveness.
Yes. Yes.
And I
Mhm.
think when I look back 10 years ago, when I couldn't get out of bed one day after a Friday night family fun night with pizza and board games, I realized after studying it a little bit, I was really, really sick because I held a lot of anger inside of me. I was not forgiving of what happened to me as a teenager. I just buried it and I never dealt with the trauma that I had and I never forgave it. So it manifested at the age of 40, it manifested into, and actually it's more than 10 years ago because I'm 55 now. But at 40, it manifested. I got to update my timeline at 15 years ago. At 40, I was diagnosed with lupus and Sjogren's. I couldn't get out of bed. And I do believe no matter what, if you don't deal with your trauma,
Mm.
whatever that might be, it doesn't have to be the equivalent to my trauma. It can be any trauma. Maybe it's a teacher that said something that just rocked your world and turned your world upside down. Maybe it's something that happened with your parent or a best friend or boyfriend, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You can't just bury it. And I buried it because I was sexually assaulted at the age of 12 and I put myself in a bad position. And so I always blamed myself. It was my fault. I put myself in that room. I could have screamed. I didn't. I was too ashamed. I just laid there very still. I did not fight back, which that's not me,
Mm.
fighter. And so I always blamed myself. So I buried it and buried it and buried it until I got sick. And then I was like, okay, I have some issues that I need to deal with, some big ones. And so, yeah.
But that, I'm so sorry that happened to you. I've also been in a situation a little later in life, but it is really hard. And we don't realize too that trauma gets stored in the body and
Mhm.
it comes out in different ways. It manifests into, sickness or mental illness. And there's so many different things that happen to our body. How were you able to make that connection between what was going on with your body and your past?
Yeah. So I actually, when that happened, when I was diagnosed with Sjogren's and lupus, and I was not really, I had had a couple ankle surgeries. I was unable to really walk. I was kind of bedridden for a long time. My kids were little. And what I didn't realize at the time is that my oldest two are 14 months apart. So they were 12 and 11. They were the age of when I had my issues, when all this happened to me. So it was almost like I was reliving it through them. Like, just, I can remember being really concerned, like, no, you're not going on an overnight trip with anybody. You're not going on that overnight camp trip unless your dad's there. You're not going to spend the night at this friend's house. No, because I was just overprotected, but I didn't really connect the two. But then when I got sick, I was like, why is this happening? What is happening here? And truth be told, I got really, really depressed. So I went into counseling and I had somebody that connected the two. Even in counseling, I didn't share everything that I had been through. But when I did kind of open up a little bit, they connected it for me. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I started learning about trauma and the body and the response to trauma. And also learning about what happens when you can't forgive, when you hold that in and you don't forgive. Forgiveness isn't for the other person, it's for yourself. Yeah, and I had to forgive. And you want to know a crazy thing? I don't ever share this, but I'll share it with you. When I was going through forgiveness, I wanted to find the person that did that to me. So I was 12, he was 22. I remember his name. I remember him very, very clearly. I actually found him on Facebook. Now, prior to finding him, I don't remember a lot of my dreams, but sometimes I would have this nightmare. And the nightmare was this brown bear attacking me in my front yard, like just mauling me and me trying to get away. Creepy thing, when I found him on Facebook, his Facebook profile page was a brown bear.
Whoa.
Yeah, I had total goosebumps. I was in the middle of doing some hardcore counseling. I was doing EMDR, and I had to do EMDR through that because that freaked me out, because here I've been having this dream and his profile picture is is like the bear in my dream. Yet I had never seen his profile picture before. So creepy. So
That's
weird.
really creepy. That
Yeah.
is.
But I forgave him. He's married with kids. I didn't reach out to him. I just forgave him in my heart. And I forgave myself because I'm like, you were 12 years old. You didn't know any better. And yeah, maybe you should have screamed. Your friends were in the other room, but you were embarrassed. You didn't want them to know. You didn't want to be considered, at that age, you're in junior high and you don't want to be called any kind of names because and you know how that kind of stuff spreads. So I was like, I'm keeping this quiet.
Mhm.
And it was a horrific, horrible experience. And that whole time during that time was a horrible time in my life. And I ended up in foster care for a little bit. And then I went to live on a farm with my aunt and uncle. And that really saved my life. But I look back on those experiences and I think, I'm not a quitter, and that's why my businesses thrive. And eventually I go through exits because there are a lot of times I talked about the 5 P's of my business. One of them is perseverance. There's a lot of times when I want to quit and I've got to just keep going forward. And as long as you keep going forward, even when the most horrific things happen, you're out of money, you have no money, you got to pay all these bills, whatever it is, your product, your manufacturer is going under, whatever it is that you're going through. Keep going. Every day is a different day. Keep moving forward. Eventually, it turns around when you don't give up.
That's so true. That's so true. So when you went and decided to start on your own gluten-free adventure with cauliflower, what made you decide to go the cauliflower route? Because at that time, we heard about cauliflower. It was a disruptor, but you completely blew it out of the water, making it a pizza.
So really there was nothing in the grocery stores but the head of cauliflower at the time.
Yeah.
So what happened was, I'm a mom. I've been married for 27 years. I already said that. I'm mom of 3. Because I grew up with a single mom and then the other things happened, I always was like, when I have a family, I'm going to cherish that and I'm going to set up little routines and I'm going to have special times. And so this Friday family fun night was pizza and board games or pizza and movies. And the pizza was always like Domino's or Round Table. We lived in Northern California. It was and I could see that I would feel inflamed the next day, and sometimes I would feel pain or what have you, but nothing like the one day where I couldn't get out of bed after it was Saturday morning. It happened to be on Halloween, actually, Halloween morning. But I had met with a trainer who said, because the doctors had me on Plaquenil, which was the drug everyone talked about during COVID, and steroids. And if anybody's been on steroids for any length of time, it makes you crazy. Like you can't sleep. It makes you crazy. So I was on those and my goal was to try to get off of them because I felt like the side effects, like Plaquenil, you got to get your eyes checked. And I think it damaged my eyes. But I met with this trainer and he's like, let's do an elimination diet. And I eliminated everything and slowly added things in. And I realized, okay, I got to go gluten-free, grain-free. Grain-free is everything like gluten-free. At that time, there was Udi's, which was gluten-free, but oh my God, you talk about inflammation. It was 10 times worse. So I did this gluten-free, grain-free, but I wanted to bring back that tradition that I had created, that Friday family fun night, because at this point I wasn't eating pizza with them. And it's, it sounds silly, but it was a big deal to me. So I looked online and I found a Rachel Ray recipe and I copied it and made it. It fell apart many times. And then I finally perfected it. And actually my daughter helped me. She's like, Mom, let's use the juicer to get the liquid out. And yeah, when we owned our manufacturing company, we had like tall juicers that we used. We continue to use that process because we use fresh cauliflower, unlike my competitors who were using powdered and pureed. We were using the fresh heads of cauliflower, which made it really expensive too. And what happened was I took it to farmers market. It's just a way to get my older 2 kids out there talking to adults and earn some money. It was never meant to be a business. It was just to serve me, to help me. But as I was at farmers market, I was meeting people that were diabetics that were like, oh, I can eat this, or keto people. Keto was a big deal then. Well, starting to be a big deal. Or the Atkins people. I started meeting all these people that were like looking for weight loss, or like I said, the diabetes, and then people that could relate to me with the lupus. And so I was like, oh, there's a real need for this. And so I had experience in the past with e-commerce. I had a couple e-commerce businesses, one that I actually exited. And I'm like, well, it's fully baked. I'm going to stick this on e-com and on online. And it really didn't do anything. And actually, I had gone through all of our savings. We were remodeling our house. We had bought this house out of foreclosure, and we needed to remodel. We need to add a garage, actually. And the garage money went into the cauliflower pizza crust. The margins were outrageously high. I had a couple local stores pick me up in our hometown. They were selling out before I could make it fast enough. So I'm like, I got to get in an industrial kitchen. I got to expand on this. But I depleted all of our funds. And I can remember, and I tell this story all the time, it was the first time I'd ever got on my hands and knees and prayed, like, God, can you please shut this business down? Like, my ego isn't going to let me shut it down. And I've gone through all our money. I can't go into our investment account. I'm probably going to end up divorced if I do. Nobody really believed in it either. My family and stuff, they were like, why are you doing this? Like, why? Jim makes plenty of money. Why are you doing this? I'm like, well, it's helping me, and I love to help others. So they're like, yeah, but it's costing you so much money, and the margins are terrible. And what's the purpose? Just make it for yourself. Anyways, long story short, I got on my hands and knees and I was praying. I'm like, God, just shut this business down. Like, I can't do it. The ego is there. Like, the people love it. I just can't. You got to shut it down for me. And he had different plans. That night, I had a dream about sharing one of our customers that we were sending product to. She lived about an hour and a half away. She was a single mom, near and dear to my heart, single moms. So her daughter, Kenzie, she's a single mom of 4 kids. Her daughter, Kenzie, was the youngest one, was diagnosed with nonverbal autism. And the doctor put her on a low carb diet. So she's like, hey, your pizza crusts are low carb. Kenzie loves pizza crust. Can you send us some? So we ended up sending her some for like 7 months. And I went up there to visit her one day, not knowing, the results of what she had been doing. And when she opened the door, Jessie was the mom. I about fell over because Jessie lost 100 pounds eating low carb. Eating our pizza like twice a day. And then Kenzie ran up, hugged my leg and said, thank you. And she was talking. So it was like this huge moment. So we took pictures. And
Wow.
so fast forward, when I'm on my hands and knees and praying, I go to bed that night and I get this clear dream, share Jessie's story. And so I wake up the next day and I tell my one employee, Jimmy, the one that had breast cancer, God forbid, no brain, breast cancer, who is still helping me with Soursop. I call her and I said, I think I have this dream. It was really vivid. And I think I'm supposed to share Jessie's story on Facebook. And she's like, well, you better ask Jessie. So I called Jessie and Jessie was ecstatic. She's like, share our story. So we shared that story January 3rd, 2017. By the end of January, we had sold more pizza crusts online than we had the entire year of 2016 of anything, of stores, farmers market, online.
Crazy.
Like, it went crazy. And then by the end of that year, we had done 5.3 million, which was just blows my head. And I'm officially in the food industry and officially have a team. And then the next year we sold a pizza crust every 3 seconds online. And we were the #1 pizza crust on Amazon for 16 months straight, not just cauliflower, not just frozen, like pizza crust, beating out Mama Mary's, Boboli, all of them. I say this and people that are non-faith based look at me and just like, whatever, snort. I'm telling you, it's only God, through God. Like, there's no other way I could have made that happen, or my team could have made that happen. Doors flew open. We were the pizza crust at the Emmys, the ESPYs, Teen Choice Awards, for the Casa Hamilton in New York.
Oh, cool.
I mean, cool things were opening left and right, putting us on the map. And it was an amazing experience. And I wrote a cookbook with the recipe in it, and Abrams Publishing picked me up, and it was a 6-figure book deal. And it just like one thing after another happened, and it was only because of God. And it all started with just serving the person I once was, that sick person, and trying to pay it forward, and never ever thinking that it was going to blow up. I didn't have a business plan for it. It was crazy. When Jimmy said, "Have you looked at the Shopify numbers?" I'm like, why would I? We never sell anything. She's like, you better look at them. We got to figure out this inventory thing. And quickly. Yeah, we went from selling like maybe $400 a month to $4,000 a day. Like we were just going crazy. And that's a lot of pizza crust. So
That's so cool, Amy. I love hearing these things, especially a woman that started this because you needed it, right? And then it served other people. By the way, when people say about like the faith-based stuff, I'm Jewish, and I think that something all religions share is values and traditions. And I think there needs to be more of that, and different faiths talking to others to realize like there's so much more alike than not alike, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's so important.
I usually ask people before I go on their podcast. I don't have to share my faith, but I usually ask. But you know what? Just in these days lately, I'm just like, I'm not going to apologize for what I believe in, and I don't judge anybody ever.
Yeah.
Like any religion, I don't judge. I don't think because they're not maybe thinking the same way I do that there's something wrong with them. I just don't think that way. Like to read the stories in the Bible that like the woman that was, with multiple men, or, there's all these broken people that, were helped. And I just think that, and we're accepted and not judged. And so anyways, I'm going off on a tangent, but
yeah, I agree with you.
I appreciate you letting me share that story, because truth be told, like that's exactly what happened. And then we were off to the races. And I got to tell you, when I wanted to go into grocery, I got no all the time, because people are like, cauliflower, nobody even buys the vegetable. It's not popular. It's the last veggie standing on a veggie tray at a party. Like, are you kidding? Pizza crust? Nobody's going to eat that. And they were so wrong, because at the time, and then Trader Joe's jumped in and started doing the cauliflower rice and then the pizza crust. And it's now $1 billion category. There's even cauliflower ice cream now.
Yeah.
So when we started Soursop, very few people had heard of it. Other countries, like in the Caribbean, they've been using it for centuries. In the UK, they started studying it for cancer. So there are other areas, but in the United States, nobody had heard of Soursop. Really, I can say nobody, maybe 1-2% of the population. And so I feel like it's right back there with cauliflower, only Soursop is such a bigger deal. It's such a bigger deal than a cauliflower. Cauliflower is great because it's bland. It takes on whatever flavor you put with it. But Soursop is just power. It is just power fruit. So
now, you mentioned about financial strain that you had at the very beginning. And I know as entrepreneurs definitely have experienced there's ebbs and flows, but you kind of need to be resilient. And I'm just wondering, for those out there that are a little hesitant to start their business but have a fabulous idea like you, what advice would you give entrepreneurs to protect both their business and their peace?
Yeah, so it's interesting because I think Hormozy said this, that the most expensive real estate is the cemetery, because everybody's buried there with their ideas. I think, I'm not going to lie, it's hard to balance peace when you're just getting started.
Yeah.
You're going to have to set some boundaries. But during COVID, this is a great example. During COVID, I started a business called Brick and Mortar to Click and Order, which was teaching these brick and mortar businesses that weren't successful because of COVID to go online. And during that time, my cousin, actually, his parents were the farm that I went to live on. Interesting. They were never going to have kids until I lived with them. And then they got their vasectomy reversed and had him. after I lived with them. So I have a little small, I guess, reason of why he exists today. But him and his fiance, who's from El Salvador, wanted to get in the food industry, but she also worked for Microsoft. And they kept calling me and asking me what to do and how they start. And I kept giving them the roadmap of how to start. She wanted to do a pupusas, frozen, and I gave her the whole thing. And one day she called me and I said, you know what, Cynthia, right now you have a hobby. If you want to go all in on this, you got to figure out where the money's coming from, quit your job. And I'm not saying everyone should quit their job, but for this particular product, I knew it would go crazy if she would just go all in. And that means quit your job and go all in. And maybe it means you guys have to change the way you live, but you guys need to go all in. And Colin can keep working and he can support it, but you need to go all in because right now it's just a hobby. And I say that to a lot of people that, you've really got to do your due diligence first to see if it's going to be something that it's going to take off. And so I have a SWOT analysis. Matter of fact, if anybody that's listening to this wants to DM me on my social media, hey, Amy Lacey on Instagram, I will send you the SWOT analysis because I handle all my DMs. It's not just your typical SWOT analysis, but I use it to make a lot of decisions and I use it to figure out if that's really gonna fly or not. And it really helps to make any kind of informed decisions. But I think when you're starting a business to see if you're gonna invest the time and the money to make sure it's actually gonna thrive, I feel like I'm really good about finding the white space, meaning things that don't exist and creating them, like the cauliflower pizza crust or the soursop gummies, both first to market. But for a lot of people, they're coming out with businesses, maybe it's coaching, maybe it's product-based, that is already out there, but they have their own personal IP twist on it. And so what I was saying is that I lean heavy into the 5 Ps in my business when I'm trying to decide, is this going to be viable? And I often tell people to lean into these for your peace. And peace is not one of the 5 Ps. First of all, I think you need to surround yourself with people that have done it bigger and better. So put yourself in rooms of people, like if it's a coaching business, that have done what you want to do. Watch what they're doing, get to know them, ask for help. People genuinely want to help people.
Yeah.
I've been asked so many times for help and I always help people because I enjoy it and I want to help them. I want to see them thrive. Okay, so surrounding yourself with people that have done it bigger and better. And then also make sure you invest in yourself. So join a mastermind. It's a great way to bounce ideas off people. So people, passion. You hear a lot of entrepreneurs, especially on Instagram, especially lately, and I'm not going to call her out. She's very well respected. Okay, Cody Sanchez, who talks about buying businesses from the baby boomers. All right, yeah, true. You can go all in and buy a bunch of baby boomer businesses that are going out. I get that, but you got to have somebody to manage them because if you're the one managing them and you're not passionate about a laundromat or a gas station, I don't care how much money it makes, it's going to suck. Unless you have somebody that you really trust, because I've been embezzled from, they can manage those. So you have your own time and you have that passive income, great. But it is like one of my investors for Soursop, she wanted to go all in on this Airbnb and she was going to hire this agency to manage it. And she told me the other day, I am selling all of it. The agency manages it, but I still get the calls at 10 o'clock at night. Like, what do you want me to do with this plugged up toilet? And she's like, it's just not worth the money to me. So I believe you need to be passionate. If you're starting a business and you want it to be successful, it better be something you're really passionate about. Don't ever do it for the money. It's going to bite you. And I love Cody Sanchez. I listen to her. I respect her so much, but I disagree on the passion part. You got to be passionate about it. Or you've got some relative that you super trust that can manage all your businesses. Otherwise, you are going to hate life and no amount of money is going to be worth it. Okay, so passion. Be really passionate. And I often say, serve the person you once were. So if you're a coach and you're an anxiety coach or a divorce coach or a mom coach, and by the way, mom coach, like every time I talk about how I balance motherhood and entrepreneurship, everybody leans in. Like I was just on a panel with a bunch of other women that are really well respected, but not one of them was a mom. I was the only mom. And the questions were curated. We were on the panel, but I broke out and said, I feel like this sense of like, I need to share with you something I did that made a huge difference in my kids' lives when I was really busy. And so, I'm just throwing that out. We need more mom coaches of entrepreneurs that are moms.
Yeah.
You have your daughter, you're starting to talk about that a lot. I love it. That's what and people want that. There's a lot of people in that audience, and the host did not curate a question geared to those moms because she probably didn't even think about it. So, okay. So serving the person you once were, really being passionate about it, creating a product that's authentic. So that's one of my P's, product, creating a product that's authentic, whether it's a coaching product, courses, a product-based business like I do. Whatever it is, be passionate about it. Comes through, be authentic, be real. Again, don't do it for the money. It bites you. Money will come when you're doing things you love and you're helping people. And you can only help people when you truly love what you're doing and you see results for yourself. You become very passionate. People feel that. Okay, so people, perseverance, product.
We did passion, not perseverance. Yes.
Okay, perseverance I mentioned earlier, but there's a lot of highs and a lot of lows in businesses, and it's a very lonely place. So what is it that's going to get you out of bed on the days that are horrific? I can remember the health department shutting down my manufacturing plant. Not when we owned it. It was one that I was renting, and it was in a different area of the kitchen. It had nothing to do with my product, but because my product was in the freezer and they yellow taped like a crime scene, literally, you could not get in there to get your product out. So I had to adjust, and it was terrible. Like a whole weekend where I did not sleep and made product nonstop. And I just remember, I don't want to get out of bed. Like I am so exhausted. I don't want to get out of bed, but you've got to figure out what is it that's going to get you out of bed. So I lean heavy on the highs. And what's a high for me in my business? It's reading the feedback I get. It's reading the testimonials. It's reading the thank you cards. I read everything that's sent to me. Thank you so much for creating this. I can eat pizza again. Thank you so much. My daughter, my son, this one really hit home, and we ended up like doing a bunch of fundraising for him. And then he was on our social media accounts, but he had brain tumor. This little 6-year-old boy had a brain tumor, and the doctor put him on a low carb diet, and he loved pizza. And today he's thriving. He's doing so well. And his mom loved that we shared his story. But that would get me out of bed. That would on a day where it was really bad, I would think, no, I've got to get out of bed for him, if nobody else, for him. But so whatever is going to motivate you, it could be, maybe it's something as simple as going for a walk or getting one with nature or journaling like you talked about. Like your journaling is still happening, even though you're feeling like you're in a slump in the month of September, you're still journaling. Like whatever it's going to be, you've got to figure that out for yourself because it's individual. For me, it was just like, I would get really low. I'd cry and be like, this is not working. There are so many disasters. I cost the company $1 million one day. And I was just like, oh my God. Like so sad. And then I just read those testimonials. I'm like, okay, get your big girl panties on, get out and get going. Like tomorrow's a day. And ironically, that day I lost that $1 million. We put out a letter. We were authentic. We said we made a mistake, and the sales quadrupled the next week. So it really was a loss of $1 million for that day, that week. But the next week tripled it, just from us openly apologizing that we made a mistake. And it was my mistake. I was the final on this packaging thing, and I got the macros wrong. I didn't catch it. And then, somebody that counts our macros is like, this is wrong. Are you guys trying to cheat us? That kind of thing. And my team was like, let's blame it on the packaging company. And I'm like, no, we could easily have blamed it on them. But no, the packaging company sent the proofs to me. I was the final person on the proofs. I was very busy. I wasn't paying attention. I didn't double check it. And so 265,000 packages had the wrong macros on it. Not a good day for me. But
you learned a lot.
Being authentic, going back and reading what I was doing and why I was doing it, people appreciated that. They appreciated the honesty, and I never blamed it on somebody else because it was my fault. Even one of our competitors sent me a message and said, classy, good job, great job. Glad you owned it, because it could have been easy not to. And the final one is paying it forward. And so I just really believe that you don't pay it forward to get it back in return, but I do believe when you pay it forward, you get it back in return. So even when our businesses were small and not making any money, we were always paying it forward. Just something that was like near and dear to my heart. But later on, when we were making lots of money, I would pick an employee and be like, okay, we're going to give $5,000 or $10,000 away this month. What is the charity that you want? And you're going to give them that check. Like, it's coming from you. And then we would highlight their charity and highlight them as a person. And it was kind of a reward system. And all of a sudden, my team were like, we don't need our bonuses. We just want more of these charity events, these charity things that we can give. Because a lot of these people, like the guy that did our customer service, he was a worship leader. He didn't make a lot of money at church, and he didn't make a lot of money at Cali'flour either. He was a customer service rep. But for him to be able to give, and I think we did $15,000 that month, to his charity is not something he normally would have been able to do. And it's not, this is coming from my boss. This is me giving you $15,000. And so that was really cool. If you can afford to do something like that with your employees, it's a cool experience. But going back to Rachel Ray, one of the things, a full circle moment, we got to be on the Rachel Ray show and give a lady that did a soup kitchen in Colorado $10,000 for her soup kitchen. And it was like, wow, this is the recipe that started it all, that helped me get healthier, helped me have family fun night, pizza and board games again. And now I'm here and we're giving away. And actually, I wasn't the one on Rachel Ray that day. It was one of my employees. We're giving away $10,000 to the soup kitchen in Colorado. It's a very cool experience.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So paying it forward, even when I wasn't making any money and we were negative, we were giving $300 a month, because I would have done that personally. So I was doing it through the business, to the mentoring project, which was dads being mentors to kids without dads, because my dad was an alcoholic drug addict. I didn't have a dad growing up until my mom remarried much later. And so that was near and dear to my heart. Had nothing to do with cauliflower, nothing to do with the food business. But that door opened up. That business was in Nashville. That nonprofit business was in Nashville. Through that business, we got invited to their annual barbecue. Donald Miller was at their annual barbecue. I got to meet him, got to start talking to him. He started telling me he does a story brand workshop. I'm like, okay, well, I have no money, but we did the story brand workshop. And then he invited us out and he gave us kind of a 2-for-1 deal. That Jesse story I had a dream about, we used his story brand method to share Jesse's story, which went viral. Full circle moment. Had I never donated to the mentoring project, never gone to Nashville, which I barely could afford to go there at that time, and I would have never met Donald Miller. And then I started following him and doing his course. And by the end, before we sold Cali'flour, I took the entire team and did a private workshop with him and his main person. It was like $75,000. And I'm like, remember, I couldn't afford anything. And now I'm taking you for a private 2-day thing to pour into my team. So full circle moments all the time. So yeah, I think paying it forward, and maybe you don't have the money to pay it forward. Maybe it's the time and to build a business, and you may not have the time either. But I wish I could say it's perfect peace. When you are an entrepreneur and you're creating a business, it's not perfect peace. It's a lot of hard work in the beginning. It's a lot of tears. It's just, you just have to say, this is the season I'm going to do this. This is hard work. And if you've got little kids, bring them into the business, get them involved. That's a way to connect with them. And then put aside your phone and your computer at least a half hour a day per kid and do what they want. Which means maybe playing their video game that you despise. It might be like, seriously, like, I remember my girlfriend, I was complaining about my oldest always playing video games. And she's like, do you know what he's playing? I said, no, I don't. She's like, Amy, go upstairs and play the video game with him and see. You might be surprised. And like bond with him on his level. Put all your stuff away. Always remember that. And when I went up there and I saw the game, and I can't remember, I was like, oh my gosh, this is really educational, actually. They were building colonies and all this stuff. And I'm like, this is not like what I thought it was at all. And
That's cool.
and he was so happy to show me, and we bonded, and that means everything. So yeah, that's what brings me peace, is being with my family, but yet still being able to thrive as an entrepreneur.
I just want to say thank you for being you, sharing all these incredible stories and also nuggets, because I feel we all need a little bit more of a I feel there's a lot of filtered reality with Instagram, with what you
Absolutely.
were mentioning about coaches too. They show all the perfection and then they don't, most of them like don't even have a business. I've been noticing that a lot, and that's been really painful to watch, especially with some of my clients that are starting businesses. It's been really hard to see what the content they're digesting. So I just wanted to do something fun because we're talking about authenticity. I want to do just a super quick lightning round with Amy Lacey.
Okay. I'm an open book. I'll answer anything if I can.
Awesome. One ingredient you always stock in your kitchen.
Ooh, one ingredient. And by the way, these are not prepped questions. I did not get these in advance.
No.
Ingredient that I always have lately in my pantry, though, you're saying.
Yes.
Well, I always have a good olive oil, and I always have cinnamon.
Yes.
I use those a lot. I'm just thinking of what I use a lot that's in my pantry. I mean, I got a lot of staples in my pantry, but I would say a really good cinnamon and good olive oil. I'm probably going to kick myself and say, why didn't I say this? Nobody has ever heard of it. And it does so much. But right now I can't think of that.
All right. If your life had a flavor, what would it be?
Ooh, if my life had, well, I like spicy. So it would definitely be spicy. Ooh, if it had a flavor, but I love, like right now it's pumpkin season. I love pumpkin too. How about pumpkin spice?
Perfect. If forgiveness were a dish, what would it taste like?
Oh, it would taste, wow, these are interesting questions. I wish I had more thought to them. Ooh, well, right off the bat, it just comes to it something sweet and creamy and luxurious, just very sweet though, with a lot of love in it.
Now, I know you've done fasting.
Yes.
So, fasting soundtrack, silence, worship music, or a podcast binge?
Oh, all of the above, but it depends on what I'm doing. So I do intermittent fasting on a day-to-day basis. I'm not saying that I always say this. I'm not saying you should do it. It fits for my body. I've tried all kinds of things and I love that. So I will break my fast with one of our shakes, but in the morning is my time where I will do things like I will meditate, I will read, I will drink a lot of water. I don't fast from water. I might even exercise, and it's usually, if I'm fasting, it's usually something simple as like a walk. Like walk on the beach. I live right by the beach. I live on the water too, so I just love being with the water. So yeah, that's. And then if I do a spiritual fast, I've done ones where I've gone 3 days. That is a lot of podcasts, a lot of reading, a lot of like mental, it's hard by the second, like there's a point where it gets really hard. And then when you bypass that really hard point, then it's like easy. Then I'm like, oh, I could go like days. And I know that's not healthy. So I don't, but I try to do the 3 days, which resets your whole cells. So yeah, a lot of podcasts.
Cool.
Yeah.
This one's going to be probably a hard one to do, but originally it was like cauliflower crust or soursop smoothie. That's choosing between two babies, so probably not the best. So what's your favorite soursop product currently?
Okay, so definitely I would choose soursop over cauliflower, even though currently cauliflower made a ton more money than soursop. Right now, I am loving, we just launched our skincare, and I'm not saying this because we're just launching it. It's a soft launch. So if you're not on our email list, you wouldn't even know about it. I'm absolutely loving it. I went on a trip as a person with lupus and Sjogren's, you get sunburned easily, and I have sensitive skin already. And I went on this trip and I thought I was protecting myself, but somehow I got sunburned. And I was just using my normal routine of my Soursop 4-step because I've been using it for over a year now. And the next day I woke up and the sunburn was gone. And I was like, whoa, how did that happen so fast? No peeling. Usually my nose is Rudolph for at least a week. So I'm obsessed with our skincare. And of course, I love the intermittent fasting and break it with a shake. And I do that I have this whole recipe. And right now I just added cottage cheese in there for extra protein.
Yeah.
So I call it my cottage cheese cancer fighting shake. I'm obsessed with it. Those are my 2 Soursop things.
And then the last question I always love to ask guests is, how has stress saved your life?
Oh, that's such a good question. And how has stress saved your life? Isn't that true though? Stress does save your life. It definitely makes you, as far as the stress I've experienced, it definitely makes me lean into my faith more. It makes me more aware of what I need to do as far as physically for my health. It brings awareness. Stress brings awareness. If I start feeling really stressed and anxious, I know that's me saying, I need something more. I need a mentor to talk to, or I need to go exercise, or I need to listen to a podcast, something to shift that stress out. Or for me, it's a lot of leaning into my faith. Like I really pray a lot, or I'll get in the word when I start feeling really anxious. And I'll tell you, I feel anxious a lot. I just had a death in my family, near and dear, like a second mom to me. We're getting audited by the IRS. I've never been audited before, and it's on Cali'flour. It's back in 2022. It's the craziest thing. I don't even have access to the emails or anything. Thank you, AI, because the IRS agent is asking me for things that I normally could not produce, but AI is helping me. For example, I was able to drop in my Instagram. One of the things they're fighting me on is the recipes I did in 2022 online. I expensed the food for the recipes, right? You would normally do. No problem. The company didn't reimburse me. I was doing this on my own. And he wanted a journal of every recipe and every day I worked what I did. And that's back in 2022. Well, I plugged in my Instagram and Facebook into AI and it gave me a journal, and I did over 1,600 videos that year for Cali'flour. Now, one video might be 8 different takes that it was counting, but 1,600 videos were stored, and it was able to pull them out in minutes. So
That's amazing.
yeah, that was a good thing on AI. I have an AI cheat sheet too. If anybody DMs me, I'll give you the cheat sheet. It allows AI to know who you are. And there's a lot of people out there sharing different information. So AI sounds more like you, but this is like primo. I know it works. But yeah, so very, very stressed out this last year, and a launch and lots of things happening. The death like rocked my world. The day that she passed away is the day that I got the IRS audit. It was like, bam. And it's just very stressful time. So yeah, I lean into prayer, and I know that there's a reason why this is happening. And for my aunt, who was like a second mom to me, who I took care of because she no longer drove, she's in a much better place. So I have to just realize that she's in a better place.
Thank you. I'm sorry for your loss.
Oh, you know what? She was 84, but she was like, for me, the last 4 years have been such a blessing because I pulled her out of a long-term care facility that my mom had put her in, and she hated it. And we couldn't see her for a year during COVID. And so I pulled her out. I bought her a condo. I hired somebody to help me with her. And then I spent at least 2 days, sometimes 3 days over there. I would work, but we would also do other things, and I'd take her out and stuff. So I had 4 years, and she was such a mentor, like a life coach to me. And I would say if there's any older people out there that are life coaches, like spend some time with them. It's amazing. Like she was 83. She died. She celebrated her 84th birthday in the hospital, but she was 83. So I had her from, a lot of time with her from 79 to 83. I learned so much wisdom. And so it's good to spend time with our elderly. We take them for granted, I think. Yeah. But thank you. Thank you for your kind words. I hope people will DM me. I hope team has a code
They sent
for
me.
discount. Perfect. But DM me because I would love to share the SWOT analysis and there's no trick. I'm not going to ask you for your email. I'm just going to send it to you. It's not me trying to do some weird, there's all these people like DM me and then I don't know.
They have your email address.
You're hostage. No, I'm just going to send it to you through the DM. Like it's good stuff and it's helped me a lot.
And then where can people buy Soursop?
Oh, you can go to livingbeyondmedicine.com or soursopnutrition.com, or it's linked in my bio. You probably run across an ad. We're also on Amazon. The skincare just came out. It is amazing. It is amazing. It is not meant for people that get injectables, but injections, Botox or Restylane or whatever. But because we did a series of where people were trying it out for months at a time, we found the people that are getting Botox and Restylane they're not having to go back and get their injections for almost 6 months longer than what they normally did. One person was 9 months longer. So I was talking about it with somebody today and she's like, well, I don't do that. Does that mean I shouldn't use your skincare? No, I don't do it either, but you should use the skincare. It's amazing. It is natural, but science-backed. It is awesome.
We all got to check it out.
You got to check it out. I'm like high on life with it. And it's finally taken like almost 2 years for us.
That's incredible. But that's honestly taking the time, investing in it, understanding your product. I think it's great that understand your source and everything. And it's also good for the consumers to hear too, right? Mm-hmm. So I just want to thank you for your time. Thank you for coming and sharing all the goods. Like, I had so much fun. And everyone, remember to connect with Amy. Hey, Amy Lacey on Instagram. Go to soursopnutrition.com. Check out skincare and all the smoothie and gummies galore. And remember, as you are on your journey, be kind and speak well to yourself.
Oh, I love that. That's great advice.
Thank you.
And listen to your podcast because it's a good one.
Thank you.
A great one.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Until next time, everyone, take care.
Thanks to Dan Lieber at Beckett Brown Music for the intro and outro music. You can keep in touch with me on Instagram at Sarah Alysse Coaching. If you're looking to improve your health and wellness, check out my business, livewellenhanceyou.com. While you're there, join the Live Well Enhance You email list and receive exclusive offers for our wellness programs and events. Until next time, take care.